James.
Is it going?
I think it might be. Let me just look.
Is it going? Sorry if you're watching.
I think it is.
It is?
No, 1 second. Come on.
Hi! Welcome back to the Core Confidence course. So we film it live. Are we going? Are we live?
1 second. I think we are. I'm pretty sure.
And we're pretty sure that we're actually doing it. And we're pretty sure that you can actually see us. So we are picking... Oh, God. So we are picking... I can hear myself.
Okay,
That's really jarring.
Are ready.
Okay,
Sorry
thank you. That is okay. Guys, we're back. Okay, session 4, last session. Now, we went a little bit over time in session 3. There's really quite a lot to this. That's why we have built entire brands. Built entire brands specifically for specific goals, because the sustainable dreams theory is so big. And as I was explaining in the last session and the session before that, there's so much research that has gone into it, because I researched like a mad person, like an actual mad person, because I had was suffering from such a high and severe anxiety disorder that I really was taking in way more information than somebody in a different kind of mindset would have been. They call it like a hypervigilance. So when I went to the East and I studied with masters and I studied Eastern healing traditions and energetic medicine and ancient Eastern philosophy on like the nature of reality and living and what happiness is and what our human goals are. I really researched it at a very high level, to the point where when I came home and went to university, I was at a master's level from studying, you know, Buddhism, yogic, Reiki, all kinds of different Eastern ways and methods at looking at the world and of solving a lot of the conditions and a lot of the challenges that we come up against in the human experience. Because as I was saying before, we use the methods to get to specific goals, like we do wellness, holistic health and wellness and weight loss at the Uproots Wellness brand in our Feminist Physique Academy. And we do professional and personal development at the Sustainable Dreams University, because the methods are all-encompassing, but also there are very specific ways to use them for very specific purposes. And you will have your own very specific purpose, but there are also those overarching kind of challenges and just overarching truths, overarching unifying principles that happen to everyone within the human experience, right? So we can study these things at a grand scale for how to, you know, like I was studying in the East, how to address, you know, getting to your highest goals as a human being. And what kinds of things does a human being need in order to feel phenomenal, in order to, you know, create, like, manifest destiny, right? Which is what we're talking about in the fourth session of Core Confidence, is becoming the master of your fate. We can study that stuff, and we can develop tools. We've developed tools based on some of that understanding to combat, to solve, to get you to a high reality where you're living your unique gifts. You know, you're living your unique way that is the truest and purest expression of you, the highest version of you, by teaching you how to discover and how to strengthen the specific skills, character traits, personal powers that you need in order to get to your specific goals. So what happened to me as I was coming out of the East and coming out of studying at that high level, and that's why there's so much in this, and I could go on forever, and why we made our memberships also go on forever. You could literally stay with us as long as you want studying with us, because there's so much in it. And I've studied so much. There's so much research that goes into the stuff that we create. Research in the East, and then research in the West. So when I was studying as like an academic researcher and specializing in scientific theory and using everything that I'd found in the East and testing it through scientific methods and finding what the equal kind of truths were as far as like the scientific theory in the West goes, I was also studying at that level, because I came out of the East being very happy and very contented, and had found so many different methods that were such incredible coping mechanisms for that high level of anxiety that I had been suffering with. And I had found all kinds of ways to get in touch with my highest reality IQ, your true self, your high self, your spirit, the best version of you, whatever you want to call it. I'd found so many ways to do that I felt really, really good and really, really found, and I was at a master's level. I felt very, very capable, that I understood, capital T truths. And what happened, as I explained to you before, going into university, going into a Western, very structured, disciplined, linear thinking style of living, meant that the ways that I had been coping, they hadn't really cured my anxiety. They had definitely given me a lot of different coping strengths, and taught me a ton, because my research was like at this level, because my brain was like, at that level, taking in millions of pieces of information in every given second. My mind went back to that when it was in university, because like the coping mechanisms from the East couldn't like help me in the West, so I didn't go to high school. I ended up graduating with a 4.0 GPA because of my brain going bing and figuring out how to get to my own high reality, how to feel fantastic, how to get to my goals in a very Western way, how to cure and treat my anxiety in a very Western way. So I amalgamated everything I learned from researching at that level, at that high level of being hyper vigilant because of my anxiety. Because of the anxiety. It's not mine anymore. I gave it back to the people and places that it came from. But I was able to do that because I also left academia. So I left a strict spiritual path. I left a strict academic path. And I made my own path. And when I guess it was kind of decided for me, my own high reality IQ said, like, you need to go, you need to walk forward, you need to bring your research to people, you need to actually live it. Because at this point I had the sustainable dreams theory, that's what I called it in academia. It's a theory of inspiration and how we achieve our biggest goals that I had lined up the biggest scholarships that you can possibly get in Canada, and some of the best schools wanted to take me in to write about what I found. And I had to go. I had to go because it just wasn't me. It just was not me. And when I left, I felt acutely that both of these ways of dealing with not being in your highest self, not living the life that you feel like you're actually really meant to live, like not living the best version of yourself. The way that the East goes about personal development and goals and feeling fantastic, and the way that the West goes about developing goals and personal development and living your best life and feeling fantastic, they were both just coping. They were both just kind of coping with the fact that you're going to have challenges and just kind of getting through them. What I wanted to do was cure the challenges. So one thing that the sustainable dreams theory, and what my theories actually really divert away from any other theories, is that I believe, and I have found multitudes of proof that say that challenges and obstacles might be part of the human experience, but suffering doesn't need to be. I think that suffering in the way that the seed suffers when it cracks open, and self-questioning in the way that the seed would if it had consciousness when it emerges in a dark, dank soil, that it's not even supposed to be in, really. It is for a small time, but it doesn't feel at home in. That kind of challenge and obstacles and that kind of self-questioning is definitely part of the human experience, is part of nature, and it's definitely something that you should be going through, and that's healthy. But the kind of self-questioning that is anxiety and depression, those kinds of feelings, the kind of self-questioning that puts your worth for your biggest goals in the firing line, that might result in you feeling like you're not worth any of those things, that's not natural. I don't think that that's part of nature. I think that is a deviation from nature. And that is a contagion. That's what we call RIQD. And it's something that you've caught somewhere. It's not part of your real self, and it isn't your fault. It isn't something that you're manifesting. You're not creating it like the law of attraction says. You're just creating negative experiences in your life and things that you don't want. That's not true. Okay, you're not creating them. They're not your fault. You do have power over them if you've got the right tools. If you are watching this right now and you understand that there are tools out there that can help you, you can choose. You can choose at that point whether you're going to help yourself or not, because it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. So it doesn't matter if you're like me and you were really massively in RIQD and you're actually suffering from mental health issues and having a serious troubling time with life, or you just know that you need to be mentally, energetically, emotionally stronger, or you just want more, that you need training in order to get to your goals. It doesn't really matter where you're at. It's not your fault, and there's nothing wrong with you being there or needing that help and that support. The only thing that would be wrong is if you would turn away and not decide to stay in the suffering. That would be probably a wrong move, because you do always have free will, and that's kind of the the opposite. It's the negative, or it's the positive of the fate and free will kind of continuum, because you are made to have all of your goals and dreams. You are made, I was made to live a life where I could inspire other people, and that I could make a positive impact on the world, and have, financial freedom and all these things that I really wanted, and have a really fantastic partner, and good love life and good community and all these things. But it was my choice to do it or not. So doesn't matter how bad things have been for you or how good things have been for you. It's always your choice. You're always in the driver's seat, and it's always easy with us. It's always easier with us than staying the same. So we're going to go into how you become the master of your fate. But we did run out of time because this is like, we've got so much more to teach you. And I just want to finish up what we didn't finish in session 3. We were talking about positive versus proactive thinking. And we were just talking about the differences between the two. Or we were actually just talking about how positive thinking isn't actually a real strategy to get to confidence. And it certainly isn't a strategy to get to your goals. So we're going to talk about proactive thinking and how that differs from positive thinking, okay? And using your mind properly. As we've been saying before, you know, your brain is meant to digest problems. It's meant to, you know, see obstacles and foresee like consequences and things like this. It's a tool, you know, it's a calculator that you're using in order to like crunch problems and figure out solutions. So we're going to talk about how to use your brain in the most productive manner in order to crunch those problems and, you know, solve the things. So thinking positively is awesome if you're fixated on possible disappointment. So if you're fixated, or you're running some crappy scenario in your head over and over and over again, that's good. If somebody turns around and is like, hey, can we just like, how about like thinking of it in another light, or like, you know, can we just like think positively? Or even, you know, my partner once said to me, he was in this situation where somebody was just like really complaining, and another person just turned to them and was like, you know, it doesn't really make me happy to talk about this. Can we just talk about something more positive? You know, but it's awesome. I was like, oh, that's awesome. And the person was like, oh, you know, yeah, we can. And they just turned it around and started talking about something positive, you know, more positive. And that was an awesome fix, because it was a fixation, and you just kind of, that's when kind of thinking positively is good to use. You know, if you're not trying to solve a problem, if it's just kind of like your brain is on repeat, you can just kind of like, you can use it in that way to just sort of switch like, but even that, you know, to know to do that, you know, that person who turned around and was like, hey, you know, can we just change the subject? This isn't making me feel good. Can we just talk about something more positive? That was proactive. Okay, that person didn't turn around and say, oh, you know, everything is awesome. The person was like, no, this isn't awesome. Can we please make it awesome? Because I prefer to live awesome, right? It was a proactive negative thing that they did. And, you know, it was in that situation, it's a solve, it's a fix, right? It's a solution, as other things are that we provide you tons of in the programs. Okay, so thinking positively again, we talked about this. It negates a necessary part of reality. So if that person who turned around and was like, hey, yo, I'm not jiving on this. Can you just, you know, like talk about something that uplifts me, please? If that person was thinking that thinking positively was the fix for them to be in a negative situation, they wouldn't have said anything, right? They would have been like, oh, well, it's up to me to think positively. If this person's bringing me down, then that's a constant message that I really, really hate to hear, is that it's your fault, you know? You need to know everything about like the environment in order to shop properly, because if not, then you're degrading the environment and it's your fault. When really, what needs to happen is the government needs to have actual scientists making laws, like actually, you know, they need to like be governing and making sure that there isn't poison on the shelves for you to buy, and you know, their economic structure isn't allowing businesses to pollute without consequences. You know, it's not up to you to understand everything about every single product that you buy, and it's not up to you to think positively in every single situation in order to like have a good life. You know, you need to think proactively, and sometimes take a stand and say, hey, yo, stop it. That's not cool. I need something better. I'm not going to just negate this necessary part of reality that like I'm going to say no to this like crappy, fixation on something that is disappointing, I'm going to face it and say like, hey, I'm going to say a hard thing here because it's necessary. I see that you're fixating on a disappointment. I don't like it. You need to get out of that. And that negative is a necessary part of reality, right? So thinking positively and blaming people, blaming yourself for not thinking positively is negating a part of reality. Thinking positively ignores the emotional flare, marking the place to heal. So we talked about this before too. When you feel bad, when you're thinking bad thoughts that don't make you feel good, the emotional flare is the marker. Remember, we talked about this. It's the flare marking, the place that needs to heal. So our emotions, we talked about this too, in the conscious mind is able to communicate with the subconscious, which will show you what's happening in the unconscious. Emotions are the language of the subconscious. It's the language of the intuition. Your emotions will show you what's going on in your unconscious, and it'll point towards experiences and programming that you need to address. So you don't just think positively when this flares up. When you feel bad, you need to go into it and recognize that that place is your body, your mind, your spirit, your heart is asking for some help from you. So don't ignore it. Obviously, I mean, that's a given, right? Women tend to be overtrained in this. So I can't count how many times I've, eaten my own respect, or I've eaten my own emotional kind of disheartening experience for the sake of saving a dude's emotions. We're trained in this intensely. Women are trained to do whatever they can as self-sacrificial as, giving their bodies to dudes so that they don't feel bad. We're trained constantly to think positively and to give of ourselves, right? So we constantly do this. It's almost like a overtraining. So like women don't need this. They don't need to focus on the positive as much as they need other types of focuses. Dealing with a weed as a flower instead of a root is what thinking positively does. So if we showed you where thoughts come from, when they come from the unconscious, deep beliefs, instincts, and programming, to the subconscious, emotional experiences, intuition, and into the conscious. If you're having an emotional flare up, right, from like a deep-seated belief, right, seed, S-E-E-D, deep-seated belief, and you just chop off the flower, that's what thinking positively does. Have you ever seen anybody who like deals with their dandelions by passing a lawnmower over them? You'll see how effective this is, right? You need to get to the root, which is what our roomies get into the unconscious, which is the root. And they're super, super powerful. So women, again, I was saying this, women tend to need constricting mindset training more, so negative training. So I really appreciated when that person turned around and said like, hey, can we talk about something differently? Okay, go ahead. He's just gonna move the camera for a second. Okay, so when that person said, hey, can we fixate on something different? Can we talk about something different because this doesn't make me feel good? That was a woman. And I was really, really impressed with her because women tend to need negative mindset training more. They tend to need to draw boundaries and to be constricting and to say, no, that's not okay with me. Because we're trained to always be like, oh, everything is okay with me. Everything is okay with me. Everything is okay with me. Is everything okay with you? Making sure everything is always okay with everyone and never stepping on anybody's toes and always taking care of everybody and always doing the emotional labor and never voicing that they're not stoked about something, that they don't want to hear what somebody else is talking about, that like they're, you know, somebody else is being toxic or being disrespectful or not giving them what they need. I mean, women are trained like intensively to not do that, not make a fuss, right? And unfortunately, like, you need to make a fuss sometimes, you know, especially if you want like big things. You need to make a fuss whether you want small things too, you know, just a healthy relationship. I mean, you know, you need to make a fuss like quite a bit when you're getting to know each other and getting to know what's like okay, what's not okay, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy, and what you expect and what you want, you know. Two people in the world are gonna want the exact same things, no matter if they're like completely joined at the hip and see eye to eye on everything. They're still going to, you know, be different people and want different things. So like this, having a more negative mindset, having a more constricting, having more boundaries, having more sense of choosing and being specific and getting focused and saying yes to this and no to that. That is all negative. And women need negative mindset training far more than positive thinking. So if you're a dude and you want to focus on positive thinking, you know, I'm going to say that's probably, maybe it's a good thing. I have no idea. But if you're a woman and you're focusing on positive thinking, I would say just don't. You probably do not need any more training in this. Okay? Like you probably need some training in negative mindset. That's what I would say for most of us. Okay, so thinking proactively, the difference between thinking proactively. It's an empowering practice and it puts you in control, right? So that woman who was around somebody who is fixating, you know, it happens to all of us, like no worries, like no judgment, you know, that woman that was around somebody fixating on a possible disappointment had to think proactively, probably. She was like, I feel crappy. What's happening? Emotional flare, right? Is this like something that I need to deal with? Or is it, oh, right, okay, that's what's making me feel crappy. I am going to empower myself by practicing some kind of solution here, right? And it put her in control. So it put her in control over what was emotionally flaring up, and she solved her problem. Proactive thinking, right? She wasn't thinking positively. She was actually thinking negatively. Like, let's take this out. And she helped this person, and she helped herself. Okay, thinking proactively, you can make a big impact and take the lead in your life, right? When we were talking about thinking positively, when little Sally wants to be a rocket scientist versus thinking proactively, you know, getting her enrolled in physics. And when she gets off course and she wants to do something else, bringing her back and saying, no, you know, if this is really a goal of yours, you need to be focused and get in line and think strategically about your goals. And that requires you to make some sacrifices of other things. You know, that's how you make a big impact and take a lead in life. It's by thinking proactively. It's about getting the focus, right? Incorporating positive and negative thinking. You can do anything, little Sally. Well, I want to be Elon Musk. Okay, let's focus, right? Positive, you can do anything. Negative, now you have to focus and do one thing. I mean, that's how we get anything done. Address challenges, heal, and grow sustainably. So proactive thinking allows emotional flare-ups, right? It allows you to have like reactions and genuine experiences that will also pave the way with the right tools and methods. And you're here and you're getting them, which is awesome. With the right tools and methods, you'll be able to address the issues in your subconscious, your unconscious, and your whole kind of being, mental, emotional, energetic, and physical, in order to heal and to grow. And the way that we do it is that it's totally sustainable. So the way that we get to goals, we take holistic approaches to specific goals so that all of the methods that you're interacting with, all of the things that you're doing on the path to your goals, they actually end up piggybacking on top of one another. So one practice sets up your mindset, which is really good for your emotional health. And then your emotional health, allows you to grow and make character developments, which then helps you in your job. And then, your job creates more financial freedom, so you can have better relationships and better experiences in your life. And the better experiences in your life and the more financial freedom, etc., allows you to have more time for personal growth, which means you can do the practices more, which means your relationships gets better, which means your partner is happier, which means they might start making more money at work and they start getting proactive, and you can make a bigger impact in the world, and blah 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 blah. It goes on and on and on. The way that we structure everything is so that they piggyback on top of each other, so you're constantly getting better and better and better and better, and every single practice makes the other practices easier. So every single win that you get makes the other wins easier, which means it's totally sustainable, right? We use nature as a tool, as a method, to make programs that address challenges and heal and grow your life towards your dreams sustainably. You can be fully present, right? Because you don't have to negate part of reality. You don't have to say, oh, no, my book that I'm reading right now says I should think this way. I can't think that way, so shut off a part of reality. Okay, so that's what happens when you get into anything dogmatic, whether it's, Buddhism or science. You need to be open and closed at varying points, at differing times. And if you're willing to actually think proactively, not dogmatically, if you're willing to actually make your own decisions and to be open to thinking critically at any given moment, you're fully present to take in reality. And you know what? This is where all the joy is. I mean, being fully present, that's pretty much enlightenment. It's where all the joy is, right? That's all you need to do. You don't need to meditate every day. You don't need to be in a ashram in India. You need to be fully present to take in reality. That's why they say in Buddhism, the goal of Buddhism is to bring the temple into the market. So if you've ever been in an Asian market, they're crazy. They're all over the place, and there's just jam packed with things and stuff happening, noises, smells. It's a sensory colors overload, right? So if you can bring the temple into the market and be fully present, fully aware, while it's crazy around you, that's enlightenment. It's just thinking proactively, and it brings you a lot of joy. Okay, once you start thinking proactively, you realize everybody needs help. None of us are just cool all the time. Nobody is. None of us, right? Everybody needs help. Once you start thinking proactively, being fully present to address challenges, heal, and grow, you realize that everybody has their challenges. And everybody's challenges are they seem like the hardest challenges in the world to them. So it doesn't really matter, whether you're like me and you're suffering from severe anxiety, or I was saying, you just know that you need to grow more in order to get to your goals. You really want those goals, whatever, wherever you're at. I know that you have challenges and they are, just as extreme as mine, even if they aren't comparatively, because everybody has challenges and they feel like really big challenges. But what happens when you think proactively is that they don't get big, because you don't compare them. You start realizing everybody has challenges, so it doesn't really matter whether you had crappy parents who treated you really badly and you need serious unconscious reprogramming that we do with our roomies, or whether you're just having a tough time in your relationship and you need to work on your communication skills, or whatever. Once you start thinking proactively, you don't make the judgment oh no, I'm so much worse off than this person because I have childhood trauma, and this person just has some communications issues. You know, it's like, that's not a thing that happens, because the person with communications issues is dealing with like self-worth issues, is dealing with not being able to be fully present, as is the person who is dealing with like childhood trauma and whatnot. So it's extremely humbling to realize when you drop into a fully present moment that everybody needs this, everybody needs help, and that you have something to give at all moments. That's when you can start really living and really helping other people. Okay, thinking proactively is addressing challenge. Oh, addressing challenges is actually a great source of joy, right? Growth is nature. So once we get out of sort of the RIQD, where we'd think, you know, oh, if I've got childhood trauma, somebody else having issues with intimacy, it's nothing compared to that. I'm so worse off. That's like RIQD, because it really isn't true, right? What's true is that like everybody has challenges, and everybody is either deciding to think proactively and address them or not, and they're taking a different road, and it's getting very, very hard for them. The challenges aren't any harder, okay? It's just a choice, whether this is happening or not. Whether, and you know, maybe it wasn't a choice before you saw this video, but now it is, because there aren't other therapies out there, and that's where I was at. I couldn't understand how the heck I couldn't just do this, and I realized that nobody was telling me how. Everybody was telling me I needed to do things, you know, like I just needed to be wholehearted. I just needed to have courage. I just needed to like not have anxiety, essentially. I just needed to develop confidence. And I was like, yo, how? Like, you need to tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, give me steps, give me methods, right? Not just coping mechanisms. And that's why I created this. So, okay, if you didn't have a choice before now, and then you could feel sorry for yourself. Okay, I definitely spent some time feeling sorry for myself, but after I got the methods, I am not wasting time feeling sorry for myself anymore. I'm just going for it because it's fun. It's fun to actually address the problems that are growing in your life, because this is where you're going. And that is really fun. It's your nature. So you have like a great time on the way, because it just ends up being something that you're super drawn to, and it's very, very fulfilling. Okay, high reality IQ. I can't believe I went, you know what? I just decided I am going to do one more live tomorrow, and I'm going to talk about mastering fate reality tomorrow, because I initially wanted to do 5 lessons, and I thought I was scared that it would be too much for me, but I've got 20 minutes left and 2 slides, and I've got a whole nother slide presentation on mastering fate reality, so I'm going to have to do another live tomorrow, and I will announce, I'll probably do it at the same time at 5 p.m. PST. So I'm just going to finish up with this one, but definitely join us again for that. I have to figure out how to do the analytics on that, but okay. High reality IQ. So this is what I'm going to teach you tomorrow, how to master your own fate through high reality IQ. Okay, so here is a little practice on high reality IQ, or RIQ plus is what we call it. Okay, number 1, you're made for your dreams. They're your destiny. Okay, we talked about the oak tree and the maple tree and the ugly duckling, who is actually a swan. You know, this lily, they're absolutely gorgeous. To flower like this, that was their destiny. Okay? So that's what a lily would dream of. You know, like a lily, if it could dream, if it could have goals, like what do you think it would dream of? What do you think its goals are? It would definitely be dreaming every night of becoming a lily, right? A carnation would be dreaming every night of being a carnation. The carnation wouldn't want to be the lily. Okay, if the carnation actually wanted to be the lily, that would be an RIQD, and we actually deal with that kind of RIQD in the Sustainable Dreams University, especially in our Uproots Wellness and the Feminist Physique Academy, because a lot of women come in with sort of externally imposed ideas of what their body should look like. So we get rid of that, because they're not really your dreams. You don't want, like I was saying, you don't want power, you don't want money, you don't want, you know, a supermodel body. You want to feel really good, and what's going to feel really good to you is going to be different than anybody else, right? So if the carnation wants to be the lily, it has an RIQD. Something has convinced it that it's not good enough as it is, and it needs to be different, like fundamentally different in order to be a flower. So what you truly dream of, like what you truly dream of, if we got underneath in the carnation and we asked it, what does it really, really, really want? It's not going to want to be a lily, it's going to want to be a carnation, right? So like the things that you dream of, you know, when I went to Asia and I got a lightning bolt of like my high reality, my own version of high reality, you know, I saw what I'm doing now. Not exactly, obviously. I had no idea I'd be on the internet of all things, but I definitely had a sense for the person and the reality I wanted to live and that I was meant to. So all of the goals that you have, whether they're relationships, you know, the partner of your dreams, or the community, you know, the friendships, or the body, the profession, you know, the self-expression, the way that you are in the world, like all of those dreams, you know, that person that you really, really, really want to be, that is the person that you're meant to be, right? That's you living your best life. That's you living the highest version of you. Okay, so basically, although all the flowers are different, you know, you're your own flower, you want to be exactly the kind of flower that you're meant to be, they all need the same things, the same fundamental things, right? So what SDU does is we provide those fundamental things. We make sure that you're getting, you know, pure water and sunlight. And then we show you exactly how to decipher what kind of nutrients you need specifically to be the best flower that you could possibly be. So yeah, rest assured that what you want isn't too much. Like, I think it's Marianne Williamson, that, you know, she asks you to ask yourself, like, when you're asking, who am I to be brilliant? You know, who am I to be this wonderful version of me that I dream of? She asks, like, who are you not to be? Like, who are you to rob the world of that amazing, beneficial impact, that amazing person that you're meant to be? Like, who are you not to be it? Who are you to decide not to go for it, not to go all the way, not to just allow yourself to flower and blossom? You know, like, you're made for this. Everything about you is made for this. There are no challenges too big. Not now that you've found SDU, anyways. Okay. Making them reality is actually easier than living without them. So, as I was explaining before, making your dreams a reality using the sustainable dreams methods and theory is easier than not. So, getting to your ideal profession, getting into your ideal relationships, getting to your biggest goals, you know, at the FPA and Uproots Wellness, getting to your best body is easier than staying the same. Okay, so basically, what happens when you get back in line with your true nature and you have all the tools that you need, all of the constituents You know, if you were the seed, you'd need the flower and the sunlight. You get all of these things from the Sustainable Dreams University, and you start creating habits where you are watered and fed every day with the precise culmination of things that you need to flourish. As I was saying in the last one, those things actually become a joy. You know, even addressing challenges and obstacles, addressing the things that you need to heal. It's hard in the split second to make the decision to do it, but once you're in it, it's so much easier than not doing it. It's so much easier than staying the same. Like your dreams, because you're made for them. Just like the acorn is made to be the oak, and the maple is not. Excuse me. If the maple tried to be an oak, it would have an uphill battle for the rest of its life. But when the acorn wants to be the oak, what it really needs to do, aside from giving itself what it needs to flourish, which is very simple, very basic, and we've completely covered for you, all you need to do, all the acorn needs to do, is to follow the path of least resistance. Because just as, the maple is made to be a maple, it will just naturally unfold into being a maple if it allows itself. The acorn is naturally drawn to the path of becoming an oak. So what we need to do as humans, because we're not plants, unfortunately, we have consciousness, we have other people's consciousness messing with us. We're living in symbiosis where we have free will, where, plants don't. So what we need is to get back in touch with our nature and to consciously align with it by consciously choosing to recognize it as truth. And the problem that we're facing right now, and the reason that this is so important, is because pretty much anybody in our culture right now is facing the obstacles to recognizing this as true. Because we have been living in an RIQD for so long, and we're perpetuating RIQD with, discriminating judgments against other people and against the world. It's virtually impossible for any of us to have come out of it unscathed. So it's very simple to say, and it's actually very simple to do. You do need to commit to it and commit to consistently addressing the issues of RIQD, because your nature will reveal itself, and it will be enlivening and enlightening and joyful, and you'll feel very drawn to it. But there is a lot of almost not nature. There is a lot of kind of mental noise that's going on, and that is the driver, right? So this mental noise, even though it's not indicative of capital T truth, and it's definitely not as powerful as as a high reality whatsoever. High reality will consistently try and punch through, constantly. And the reason you're feeling that is your high reality constantly trying to punch through, constantly, because it's going to be a pain. It's a total pain to live without your dreams, because you're not supposed to. It's very, very easy once you get on the path to have your goals and your dreams, because you're supposed to. This is very natural. This is an acorn turning into an oak. It's a very natural process. It's a little bit trickier because we have free will. And it's especially made trickier because of our IQD, and because our IQD is so contagious. But your high reality is going to have your back every step of the way, is going to be trying to get you on your path every step of the way. And once you do start recognizing it, once you have the tools to start recognizing high reality within you, you just follow the path of least resistance. You just follow little acorn on its road to being an oak. It's very simple. Okay. All you need to do is get the kinks and bends out of your way. So if we're going to go back to the oak and the acorn, what RIQD is rocky soil. Yeah. So you have all these like kind of obstacles and stuff that is in your way. And, you know, high reality is so potent and so powerful that, you know, depending on how rocky the soil is, like it'll push and push and push and push and push and push and push to get through this. You know, it makes it very, very difficult if it isn't getting the things that it needs. You know, it isn't getting water and sunlight, as well as being in like a really crappy soil. It makes it very difficult for that acorn to flourish. So, you know, if you're in a rocky soil of RIQD and you haven't learned, you know, the tools and tricks for self-care, for making sure that you understand how to give yourself what you need and get your needs met, it gets very, very difficult for you to flourish into the person that you're supposed to be. But it's also very simple. You know, it's a very, very, very simple thing to go and rake the RIQD out, right? To go and rake out the rocks and start to give yourself the things that you crave anyways. You know, the water and the nutrients and the sunlight, all of your needs, you know, and you can use your emotions to gauge these. Like it's very, very simple to get to your highest reality, to get to your biggest dreams and goals, because, you know, all you need to do is get the kinks and bends out. And I know that it's been very, very difficult up till now, because before I developed these methods, I had a hell of a time trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do to actually get the kinks and bends out, right? So not just continuously be growing, you know, and giving myself all the things that I need, the coping mechanisms that I call them, giving myself the things that I need from the Eastern research and study and mentorship and mastering that I did, and then from the Western, you know, research and studying and mastering that I did. Giving myself all of those coping mechanisms, you know, they were coping mechanisms, not because I didn't need them. I did need them. They were the sunlight and the water to me getting to my goals. But I wasn't getting the rocks out of the way, right? They weren't ironing out the kinks and the bends. They were just giving me what I needed to grow through a very, very challenging soil. So they kept me alive, they kept me growing, but they didn't make me thrive. Because, you know, like as soon as some of the structure was gone, or as soon as I couldn't be super, super disciplined about like pumping almost like steroids into my tree every day to get it to keep growing, I was stalled. You know, I was stopped dead from growing because it was just such a rocky soil of RIQD. So once I got these methods, it became a whole lot easier, because when you can actually get the kinks and bends out of your way, when you can actually rake up that soil and just get the freaking rocks of the RIQD out of your way, then you don't need the steroids. You know, you don't need to have like a seriously like strict discipline just to cope and to continue growing. You know, you can just be normal. You can even just rely on the rain and the sun from the outside, from the external world to like nurture you. And it becomes very simple, like an acorn planted in the right soil, you know, planted in the nice soil. Okay. Number 4. This is where it's easy. If you can get the kinks and the bends out, because the world is constantly conspiring to help you. And I know that you will have experienced this before. You know, as much as like even the harshest kind of RIQD sufferers, will have experienced the world conspiring to help. And even I can, a good illustration of the world constantly conspiring to help is that if you're deeply entrenched in reality IQ disorder, a reality IQ deficiency disorder, you're going to constantly feel like crap, right? That is the world constantly conspiring to help you. That is high reality IQ constantly punching, trying to get through. Constantly, hey, I need some help, I need some help, I need some help, I need some help, I need some help. Right? So, when you start getting out of its way, when you start ironing out the kinks and allowing it to help, that's one of the things that kind of piggybacks, right? That's one of the practices that piggybacks on top of all the other ones, making it easier and easier and easier, because it will start friggin' sweeping. It'll start growing out roots that sweep out other RIQD rocks. You know what I mean? It'll start raining down water to like sweep away like the RIQD rocks that you've like pushed to one side. It'll start sun shining on you in like just the right ways, when you can shoot out a branch in the right direction with proactive thinking. It'll start feeding that sunlight to your leaves in such a wonderful way that it's been waiting to do forever. So the world is constantly conspiring to get you to your goals and get you to your dreams, because for the same reason that Darwin was completely perplexed, and later on in his life he actually had a really hard time with some of his beliefs from his earlier years, because the world prefers the butterfly you. The world prefers the butterfly reality. The world is always pushing for this. Always. It's consistently, the theory of evolution, we actually kind of like sort of generically, like colloquially, we think that like evolution means getting better and better and better because we understand capital T truth. That's not what Darwin's theory is usually stated as. That's not how it's understood. Darwin's theory is usually like, no, there is no such thing as better. It's just stronger, faster, fitter, more. Like there's no such thing as better. And I like that we colloquially actually think the theory of evolution means we're getting better and better and better. Like we're climbing Jacob's ladder of becoming better and better and better, which is consistently shown to be true. If you look at reality, if you look at all of, written history, we're constantly, that's all we're doing. We're just getting better and better and better and better and better in all of the ways, right? In the awareness ways, in the communication ways, in the love ways, everything. We're constantly getting better because that is our nature, right? So the high reality IQ, our IQ plus, is being aware of that. It's being aware of your own high reality, is being aware of your own dreams, your own goals, the impact that you're supposed to make on the world, the butterfly you. So the butterfly version of you is high reality, and high reality completely supports the butterfly you. It'll conspire and do everything it can to help you become the butterfly you, because it just prefers it. Okay. So, we are going to do an exercise now. Okay, so we're almost out of time, so we're going to be quick. Feeling capable is confidence, and you're always capable. So I want you to think of your dreams, your goals and dreams. And I want you to think of what steps you need to take to get there. Okay, now think of the worst situations that can arise that will be obstacles. Okay, and think of how would you deal with them. Okay, so the best. You thought of the ways that you need to get there. This is part of the worksheet that we're doing. You think of the best and the ways that you get there, the skills that you need to develop, the things that you need to do. And do you think that you're capable of doing them? Yes, right? Can you create a plan in order to have an action plan? Yes. Think of the worst things that can possibly happen. Can you deal with them? Yes, right? Okay, so feeling capable is confidence, and you always are confident. Okay. Grief and challenges don't need to be overlooked. It's okay to crack open. all right? You may be the seed at that point. You may be cracking into a new adventure, a new flower, a new fruit. And that's okay, right? You don't need to negate it. You don't need to overlook it. You don't need to be positive. Okay, you can be broken. It's part of growth, you know? It's part of life, and that's okay. You're strong enough. You're good enough, and you'll grow through it. Challenges arise, bad feelings exist. Only RIQD makes them threatening, right? Grief and challenges, they don't need to be overlooked. What makes it really, really hard to deal with is when you don't think it's okay, right? Like, grief doesn't even feel that bad unless you think you've been cheated out of something, or you have some kind of regret that you didn't do something, or you think that it's wrong, right? Which is RIQD. It's never wrong. I don't even know if I should say that to people, but because this is a really big one that really hits us hard. But thinking about the fact that we shouldn't feel some way, we shouldn't feel sad, we shouldn't feel lazy, we shouldn't feel, something is challenging. That's what makes it really hard. That's what makes it really, really unpleasant. You know, grief is actually quite beautiful. If you look at it, it's like the outline of how much you love someone is suddenly glaringly apparent, you know, and that's not bad. It sucks, you know, but stuff sucks sometimes, you know. RIQD can make it intolerable. If you think that's wrong, it's not fair, this shouldn't happen to me, that's what makes it bad. Or I shouldn't feel this way. Why am I sad? It's bad. It's bad to be sad. It's bad to be sad. It's bad to be sad. That's what makes it really hard. If you just say, I feel sad, you know, I feel sad, that's okay. And it doesn't really feel that bad. Okay. A proactive mindset is the way to feel capable while thinking critically. Okay, so feeling capable is confidence, and you always are, right? Do you see this is like a circle? So feeling capable is all you need to be confident, and guess what? You always are capable. So a proactive mindset is the way that we get to feeling like this using critical thinking, right? I feel bad. You know what? That's okay. And I feel bad because I have this challenge, right? Okay, so I can think critically about it, find a solution, and, you know, if RIQD pops up and makes me feel worse, I can use a proactive mindset to find a solution for that too, and use my freaking gratis. You know, gratis will kick RIQD in the butt and make you feel supercharged confidence. They're Ivy League based. They're crazy great and so fun to practice. Language and mind is for problem solving, so play it to its strengths. Just use it for its strengths. You know, your mind sees a problem, ask yourself, do I really need to focus on that problem right now? Is it part of like my reality IQ that I need to be focused on right now? And if it is, then find a solution to the problem, you know. And if it isn't, freaking go practice a gratis and get it out of your head. You know, if it's RIQD, then practice a MIDI and like have it be done with, root it out. And then you can get back to problem solving and play your mind to its strengths. Oh my gosh, okay, it's finally done. Okay, guys, yeah, I'm gonna give you this whole course and 30% off of the year program in the Sustainable Dreams University. If you want to make your dreams a reality, this is how it goes. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's not even any risks involved in this. It is about $8,000 worth of material. You get a Grati, a Rumi, a MIDI, mind moddies, this course, a live with me. You get one of those every single month. Obviously, you don't get this course over and over again every single month. But you will get other teachings and trainings in the lives and whatnot, and they'll accumulate. So you get all of those every single month for a year for less than $700, which is crazy. It's less than like $60 a month, which is less than like $2 a day. Okay, it's like less than a freaking coffee at a gross gas station. Like, and you can have like your dream reality, your dream life. Like, no joke about this. And I'm gonna throw in all of Core Confidence, the edited version, with all of the worksheets for completely free. So it's a $200 course and you get it for free. Really, really stoked to have you have been here. I'm gonna come back tomorrow and do probably one last hour or maybe 45 minutes. My throat is getting sore, on becoming the master of your fate. So mastering your fate through reality IQ plus high reality IQ is what we're going to talk about tomorrow at 5 p.m. PST. So take care and go out and figure out what kind of flower you want to be tonight, okay? Because tomorrow we're going to show you how. Okay, cheers.